Yeah. Hi everyone. So thank you for joining. So today what we have is a interesting session for you. So in this we will be discussing contribution margin. I think the number one metric or the most important metric for e-commerce brands, and this is the main metric which everyone should be monitoring, and this is the closest metric which can tell you about the profit and everything around the business. So that's the number one metric, and let's just yeah. So, contribution margin. So, contribution margin is like the starting point of any e-commerce success, and it's the profit center. So everything you do around the in the e-commerce or whatever is around, like this is the best metric close to the profit or like the revenue, because there are multiple metrics like LTV, ROS, and CLV, and then AOV and all those things. But eventually, if you talk about like one metric which can tell you everything about the business, that's the contribution margin. And in this webinar we will be discussing like how to calculate your contribution margin, and second, six strategies which impact your and what levers you have, like so what in e-commerce business. So this is a broad overview webinar which will cover the mainly the most important part, which is the profit, making profit in the business, and also how we go from top down. So it will we will start at the contribution margin, and applying the first party principles we go down, and we will like break those metrics, and eventually like all the other metrics like CLV, ROS, or every other metric will reveal itself during that journey. But it's mainly start from the contribution margin, and then we go down into this. So in practice, contribution margin is simple, net revenue minus variable cost. So net revenue is like whatever the overall revenue of the brand is, like net revenue minus returns and minus like discounts, but net revenue minus whatever the variable cost you have. So variable cost can be around like your shipping cost, your marketing cost, your marketing, shipping, and third is your cost of goods sold, like COGS. So these are the three metrics which is mostly in the variable, and then there is a net revenue, and contribution margin is like will tell you about is the business is making profit per order, per unit, per item, per category, per product, and then the fixed cost can come later into the picture to get to the net profit. But it always starts at the contribution margin, and then you go down. So let's jump directly into the Excel. So I think it will be, yeah. So coming into the Excel, like how we approach this. So the first is the what's the unit economics. Like this is a summary part, but I have taken like data from other sources. But this is basically tells you about how we look contribution margin as a number one metric, or like how we align contribution margin in a singular view, like a single view. So single view starts with like net revenue. So net revenue is your always like supposedly for a $1 item, and this is like we will calculate this down below, but we'll start at like this net revenue, and then there is a COGS involved. So cost of goods sold, and then there is a fulfillment cost, which is mostly like courier, shipment, and all those things. 3PL partners in this model, it's higher typically for e-commerce. Like COGS tend to be like 20-30%, fulfillment is around like 10%, and marketing cost is around like 30 to 40%. So marketing cost will over here is like around 30, and then what we have is your contribution margin. So contribution margin is everything you save after selling the product. So every profit you make after selling the product, like completing the complete transaction, is your profit margin. And based on that, whatever expense like fixed cost, then you get your net profit. But so that's why this is the single most important metric. And once we go in, like there is a first order profitability. So this is not a very clean metric, but if we just divide fulfillment minus the cost of delivering the product divided by this your CAC, and whatever is left around that, so we will get an idea about like if the first order we did was are we making money on the first order itself. And currently for e-commerce brands, like first order profitability is really important, because without first order profitability, it's very tough to scale the business, because eventually, even if you have good LTV, good retention, then also the numbers will come after 30 days or 45 days. So even customer is a very good high retention rate, is like on every month they are buying, but still the cash flow will have a lot of strain if you are not making profit on the first order, and you are putting everything on the second order, third order. And because of the competition, and because of there are multiple forces in the competition, there is customer will never stay for life, and he's being targeted from multiple direction. There can be the need get fulfilled, or the the requirement get fulfilled. So it might stop, customer might stop buying from you, or buying the whole product range itself in the future. So it does not make sense to take a hit on the first order. Even if you have to take, it's very I would say at least break even on the first order, because without first order profitability, even if you make profit on second and third order, the cash flows will be very tight. And to scale the business, you eventually need cash. The famous saying is vanity, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. Because eventually, to rotate the business, or to run the business, eventually you need cash. So that's why first order profitability is also very important metric to monitor. But this is a real life case scenario, where we look at gross will include everything, but net will deduct the taxes, the discount, the return, the shipping. So whatever net revenue you generated, COGS will just remove all the freight and this and courier and those charges, from to 3PL. Fulfillment will include your picking, packaging, and all those things. And once that is sorted, then marketing will include all the advertising, fixed cost, not fixed, but agency cost, tool cost, and influencer or any alliances or anything else. And then we get to the contribution margin. And contribution margin is a number, it's not a percentage. So that's one mistake. But still, from a number, how much profit or contribution margin ratio, how much contribution margin ratio you are able to get on each order. So that's the number one thing. So that's the north metric, north star. So contribution margin is the the main metric where we want to target, and that's the main metric we want to optimize for. And there are financial 100 plus metrics, and we can go deep into it. But the scope of this webinar, we focused on more on strategies, how we improve this number. And so first is establishing the number contribution margin. How we calculate to the from a rough calculation, it can be rough, it can be you can start including everything into that, discount, returns, and fulfillment, 3PL, agency cost and all. But eventually you can refine the model. But eventually, once you get to that number, then the north star becomes to improve that number. Now, based on first principle, how we look at this contribution margin. So let me just, yeah. So there are only three levers to improve contribution margin. So either it will be increase net revenue. So net revenue is your the top line. So how you increase your top line. And top line is not about just you are doing 100K in sale, you do 150K in sale. The idea is that how you improve keeping the all the costs same. So either, so it's mostly increasing the gross margin. What I'm coming at is the gap between the net revenue minus your cost of consumer goods. So that's increasing what we mean by net revenue. Second lever is decrease marketing cost. Now it should not sacrifice growth. So second is decreasing market cost, but it's not that you stop ads and you stop everything. The idea is to eventually in the metric we try to decrease the marketing cost. And third is reduce cost of delivery. So cost of delivery includes both your, that's called COD, and that's typically your your fulfillment cost and your COGS. So that's both have been clubbed into cost of delivery, because that's what you need minimum to get the product to the customers. So that's three levers. So we will focus mostly on the marketing cost, but both levers are very important, the first two, and third is more from ops side, but we can definitely go into that. So we'll in this webinar we'll discuss 6 strategies to this. And how we break this up is first, let's start with the marketing cost. So in marketing cost, idea is not to decrease the marketing cost, because eventually everything has its role. So how we break that up is like into three levers. So in marketing cost also you have three broad bifurcation. So one is your LTV audience, which is your whatever your lifetime value audience is generating. So that's will have a major impact on the marketing cost. But second is your organic channels like your SEO, email, social media, and other channels. And third is your new user acquisition through paid channels, which will be the highest costly, like the maximum, like the highest cost, like costly channel to acquire the customer from. So these are the three major component in marketing. And if we go down further into that, so like what you can say is that some revenue will come from existing customer, some revenue will come from new customers, and some revenue will come, and new customer will also have two bifurcation. One is like cheap revenue from new customers, and one like a costly acquisition. So it's divided into like three buckets: your customer, new into two, um, cheap like organic new, and paid new. So those are like broadly three bifurcation. And after that, so the whole metric, because of the iOS update and all those things, so recently in industry in last 2 years, at this term was not there in before that, but mostly in last 2 years, marketing efficiency ratio has come up a lot. And this is basically because you are not able to completely rely on the channel numbers, like whatever the Klaviyo says, Facebook says, Google says. So there is a lot of discrepancy, and they are also not without the cookies and this, so they are not able to judge properly. So idea is to club every marketing you do into a single cost and monitor that number. So it's like marketing efficiency ratio. So whatever you are spending, like be it on Klaviyo, be it on Facebook, be it on social media, be it on organic, you club everything. It's a more like a blended, not blended CAC. CAC is like acquisition. It's more like efficiency. So whatever you're spending and how much you are generating. So these are like net revenue divided by marketing cost. So that's like your marketing efficiency ratio. Now to improve marketing efficiency ratio also, or you can say it like decrease marketing cost overall, or like get more bang for the buck. The focus is like the first repeat, new into two, new organic, and paid. So the first is repeat. So repeat, we look at like LTV. So LTV is like community building tactics. So we are not going into tactics in this, but I just kept it just to say. But the main focus of the webinar is to like how you think overall business in a single unit, and like how you look all the metrics related to each other in a single diagram. So it's like contribution margin, then there is like marketing COGS, and this the marketing COGS, and the third was the net revenue. And then in marketing you have two bifurcation: existing versus new, new into further into new from organic, new from paid. And repeat is basically like community building, post purchase communication, subscription membership, loyalty program. So whatever you do for to increase the LTV, and LTV is like so one disclaimer over here is like around 90 days is important, because lifetime doesn't mean lifetime. So that's also why this metric is very like hated upon, and like there is a lot of articles around that, and investors sometimes like don't judge it because it's more like futuristic metric LTV. It doesn't talk about the present, it's talk about like the customer will give you. So it's can be used by like bad marketers to justify their failures. Or if I'm not able to show you ROI as of now, like for today or for your spend today, what I can say is like that these customer will convert after 90 days, or after like 100 2 months or 2 years, and you will eventually make the money. But that's a very and most of the startups, or not even startups, like 8 figure 9 figure business doesn't have that kind of a cash flow. So they will run out, yeah, or the business gets shut down before you will realize the complete LTV. So what we say, LTV is like cherry on the cake. So whatever you get within 90 days, that's like your good luck, and that's the main. You play on that, you measure that, and you like build everything strategy around that. Any conversion or any addition you get after 90 days is just like cherry on the cake. That's not the real cake. It's like whatever you get is like your like good luck. But whatever we want to spend or like monitor and optimize, we need to focus on 90 days LTV. So that's the point mainly around LTV, because that's is really misleading. And once we have like the LTV side, so second is like organic channels. So organic channels is like search is there, affiliate is there, organic social is there, and then there is like SMS email marketing, which is also like helps with the retention also, which helps with the low cost organic. Like even if you get new customers also subscriber, so even if you get like old subscriber to convert now, or like non-buyer to convert now, and all those things, so that will also come into like your low cost organic, because you already have a relation with the customer. You have not spent new money to get that email address or this. Similarly for social media followers, like if you have like 100K followers, and like you 10K bought but 90K didn't buy from out of that 100K, so whenever you will convert that 90K from organic post or organic like giveaways or whatever, so those will eventually come into like low cost organic channels, and that becomes the second layer. So the first layer is like LTV and like repeat, and second is your new from organic, and third is the like the biggest where the most of the brands like focus most of their energies. And that's why we are like looking at from holistic picture, that where this eventually fit into the picture. So low cost acquisition will include your, so these keep on changing, and these are very like, as of now, TikTok shop is working really well, influencer whitelisting is working really well, UGC based creative ads are working really well, ads are working. But eventually, it's very like you need to discuss this with your media buyers and like this. But it's typically very tactical, and it's very day to day how you're spending this money. But if you have this framework of contribution margin, and you look at like each metric and each from top down, so you will be able to take a better call about the investment, how much money you need to spend, what ROS you need to target, and all those things. So that's becomes a important part. Next is the net revenue. So broadly we discuss like decrease marketing. So to recap, is decrease marketing, new, old, existing, LTV, new, organic, and paid. Then to increase your contribution margin, second was net revenue. So net revenue is like the top number, which is and ideally the gap between net and COGS, which is like typically called gross margin. So you need to improve that. And to improve that, there are two metrics. One is like product prices. So product prices is like AOV also broke up into two, like AOV, how you increase your average order value. So average order value is also either you increase amount or number of unit per order. So it's like amount per order, like instead of like $100 item, you sell like $120 item, or you this, or you try to increase the like a unit per item sold, or like unit per order. So instead of buying one item, customer with cross selling, upselling, customer buy three items. So that becomes like a three metrics, like unit, you increase the count of unit per order. So these are the two levers within the AOV. And the negative is like discount. You have to give little bit discount. It's not like if you are have like uh, like 30%, like 70% gross margin. So maybe to increase AOV, you have to give like some kind of incentive. So otherwise, people will not buy like to buy or like do bulk buying. So then it might come down to like 65, but eventually the top will increase and the marketing cost will remain the same. So the eventually the numbers will make sense and the contribution margin will increase. So one is the product prices. So product prices is most underused strategy, and most of the brands don't touch their prices. Like they change prices like once or twice a year. But typically we have seen success with running A/B test around it, and there are some companies which can now help you run the A/B test around pricing. And typically, the best time to change pricing is, we have seen, before Black Friday, like before you in Q3, before Q4. So because in Q4 eventually you will be discounting heavily. So instead of discounting on $100, you discount on 120, and net order like net. Like even like suppose for 100 you're discounting 30%, and eventually during Black Friday you are getting sold at $30. So now how we play around it, it's like we increase the price to 120, and like discount is still like 40-50. But eventually after Black Friday or in the middle also, the prices go back to 120 instead of 100. So that's like a neat like neat trick to increase the product prices. But it also depends on the this. And sometimes it's not always about the increasing the prices. Sometimes it can reducing the prices can also have a major impact on your CAC, customer acquisition cost, or your marketing cost will go down and the conversion rate will increase, and eventually you will have a better contribution margin. So these are some models you can run in Excel, but the idea is to include this into your strategy, recognize this as a lever and play around it, at least once a quarter, at least either lower or high, but use this as a lever to change your contribution margin. And second is your high average order value. So high average order value, we have done like multiple webinars on that. So there is like cross selling, upselling, average order value, like bundling, debundling, free shipping threshold. So there are multiple strategies around it. So yeah, so average order value is definitely, but this will help you with the net revenue. And third is like decrease cost of delivery. So that's the third lever, like the marketing, then the net revenue, and third is like your your cost of delivery. In cost of delivery, it depends on two things. One is your COGS, so you can have a higher margins from your supplier, you can have placed like higher purchase orders, so and you can try out like different supply partners. So we will not go into, not my area of expertise, but still there is opportunity over there. And second is like better 3L partner. So 3PL partner is also depends on like how your courier is structured, how your logistics is structured, and are you shipping directly from China, or do you have 3PL partners in US, or like you have single 3PL partner versus like across the on a multiple location like East Coast, West Coast, or so it's depends on the scale. People like change this up, but that's also a lever, and that's an important lever. But the percentage improvement which you can get from marketing will be huge, because it and net revenue compared to cost of delivery. And but it's always better, like it's always good to keep looking at it and trying to figure out better ways to make the product or cheaper ways to make the product. And yeah, so these are the three levers, and just to recap is this yeah, so three levers. And what we discussed, like net revenue, decrease marketing cost, or increase marketing efficiency ratio, and third is like reduce cost of delivery. So that's like three contribution margins levers. And if you can get hold of that, you like it's definitely, and with you make profits and this thing. And every profit you make, you can invest it back into growth, you can invest back in other so it's not just that you want to maximize profit, like you want to reach at like 10% or like 15% or 20% contribution margin, but idea is that you should be aware, and it should not be making loss. So that's the core picture. And if you have this, so you can control your budgets, you can work reverse engineer the ROS, reverse engineer the lifetime value, reverse engineer your marketing budgets and everything, and how much discounting you can do, how much this. So everything ties up back into this. So cool. So I hope you found this useful. And if you need help with contribution margin, or how you want to structure, or you need help with the Excel, so you can reach out to us on LinkedIn, and or at retainup.co, and we will be happy to start the discussion. So thank you.